I'm sure by now you guys can tell from the most recent couple of videos, we are absolutely 100% slime believers. But this is going to be the icing on this well-decorated cake. Okay, we are jumping into the SA Coin Dungeon with a full slime team. With the exception of the ever-elusive Red Donna Liz for some of you guys. She is the best in slot in the backline for this, but just use any unknown buffer if you don't have her, and just try to cope with your damage loss, okay? She's going to do 40% extra damage based on the enemy's HP, and she's got that relic that's boosting our attacks by a flat 50%, which is pretty cracked. Now, the main star of this is going to be Milim, okay? Xion and Rimuru are definitely replaceable, but this is for the sake of the slime slime supremacy, okay? So if you especially aren't running Donna Liz and you are forced to use multiple single targets on the Copper Demon, Xion's going to come in clutch, right? Because she's giving you that crit chance and crit damage buff. Her relic doesn't really matter, okay? We are not cleansing here. Milim, obviously the MVP. The main thing here is getting that dragon power removed so she gets her all stats up, and then activating the Dragon's Rage so that we have that attack related plus 40%. Rimuru is probably the most flexible. The only real purpose he serves is having that quick extra AoE for us to clear the bugs in the beginning. And then his relic doesn't really matter because you're probably not going to single target with him. And you also aren't really stealing any buffs, so his passive doesn't matter too much. In terms of their gears, obviously, we've talked about this before. You're going to want to run attack crit on everybody, but you're going to want common gears in the middle and the bottoms because the enemies are all scaling based off of our own HP and defense, right? So that's the reason we're running common gear. And in my case, I'm also going to take off everybody's outfits and everybody's headpieces. So that's going to essentially maximize the amount of defense and HP they don't get. Or I guess I should say minimize. The card set is going to be the unknown summer, sky, ocean, yada yada yada. And then we're running attack food. Best links, obviously. We got Sariel on Milim. She's already ignoring crit resistance. So Sariel's kind of like a double plug there, ignoring crit defense. And that is pretty much what allows us to one-tap the Copper Demon. We got Mayal and Xion, and we got our high attack link on Rimuru. That's the setup. Let's jump into it. Alright, so we're jumping straight in here. We're going to do a quick little stat check just to get an idea of what we're working with here. Let's take a look at Xion, 44k on that attack, 39 on Milim, 41 on Rimuru, and then the insects have a decent amount of defense and HP. So when it comes to the first phase, what you're going to want to do is attack with Rimuru AoE, and then you're going to attack with Milim AoE, and then you're going to lock. It's crucial that you attack with Rim first, because when a ally or Milim herself uses an attack, right, she loses a stack of her dragon power, which I believe is what increases her all stats. And then when she attacks, she'll get her Dragon Rage and her Dragon Rampage. That's going to put her at a plus 40% attack-related buff. And she is going to literally one-tap. What is this guy called? The Copper Demon? Whatever, little bro. It's really, really strong, okay? What I forgot to mention was the whole reset thing. We didn't have the reset, obviously, because you saw that we dropped the chest. Now, if you're newer, like we've mentioned, you're going to want to make sure that these bugs here drop a box. You want to make sure that you get the most value out of your hourglass, since they're pretty rare. They only last 30 minutes. So we're going to let her get this off. If there's no box, we reset. There is no box. So we'll go ahead and forfeit and movie magic. And now we're on a second take. We'll go ahead and do that double AoE again and make sure that we get a box so that we can replicate what we did on the first run really easily. It's pretty simple, I would say. If you were pulling here, you're in quite a good amount of luck there. Dragon Rage turns into that Dragon Rampage as well. Or sorry, Dragon Power turns into the Rage and Rampage. For the sake of testing, you know, let's look at what the other abilities and their damage looks like, okay? Now, when it comes to comparing this team to the traditional... Ooh, Rimuru, this is a couple crits there. The traditional version of the... what was it, the human team that I tested? That was 2 cards. I don't know if you guys remember that. This team, you are noticing that it is in fact 3 cards, okay? But here's the real kicker, right? So when it comes to that second phase, Escanor's single target is so clunky. It's slow. He like walks up to the boss, like punches him 3 different times. You have to watch him walk back, and then the final damage kicks in, which takes a long time. I'm not timing this, and I don't care to, but it could be arguable. I'm not going to reset for the sake of the video. It could be arguable that Milim just jumping up, slashing him, and then fully one-tapping without having to wait for any additional hits on her single target. Like this, that's incredibly fast. That blows his single target out of the water because it takes a solid 4, 5, maybe even 6 seconds to get through. And so that could potentially balance out the time it takes for each team. So I would say that they are relatively close in speed. I think so. If somebody wants to time it, feel free, be my guest. I don't feel like doing that. But I think all that matters is that this team, as you can see, is extremely consistent. We're pretty quick, like I said, not resetting for the sake of the video. Absolutely reset. I'm not doing it more than once. Okay? I'm losing value so that you guys can gain value. It's for science, whatever. The point is, this team's really good. It's pretty fast. I would recommend using it if you are jumping into slime, or especially if you're just starting off. This is going to be probably your best SA Coin Dungeon team, well, at least until you get Liz, right? That's probably the one thing holding you guys back. Just use another buffer if you can, and see where that gets you. But if you guys liked it, drop a thumb, maybe sub if you're into that, and I'll see you in the next one.